guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I'm Not Your BNB. You just climbed into my backyard. Yesterday, I was studying at home. At midday, I saw a car pull up in front of my neighbor's house. A couple exited and immediately went up to the front door to knock. As time passed, and no one answered, they started exploring the property, presumably searching for someone. Unfortunately for them, no one was home. This is where things started to get interesting. The man, growing increasingly agitated, decided the sensible thing to do in this situation was to climb over a fence into my neighbor's backyard. As I watched, perplexed by his decision-making, I saw him wandering around, knocking on, and then trying to forcibly open the back door. It was a rather amusing sight. That is, until he gave up and decided the next thing he'd like to do is climb the fence from my neighbor's backyard into mine. Oh no. At the moment, our landlord is building an extension to the house, and immediately I'm worried that this man might accidentally injure himself on the construction site. I rush out to speak to him. What I'm met with is an out-of-breath, red-faced man and a woman, whose face looks like a smacked arse, rapidly descending down my driveway towards me. Knowing a little about my neighbor's arrangement, I initially try to help. Hi, are you guests at neighbor's Airbnb? Check-in isn't until 3 p.m. I don't think you'll find anyone there at the moment. The lady, now upon me, was unhappy after hearing this. You need to let us into the house. I'm taken aback. I'm sorry? I'm not your Airbnb host, I just live next door. You should get in touch with neighbor, as they'll be able to help. Ignoring the perfectly rational advice I've given them, the lady starts turning a deep shade of red, her partner silently glaring at me, his face beginning to contort with anger. They told us we could check in at 10 a.m. You should really contact your host. As I've said, I'm just the neighbor. This only seemed to anger the couple more, and the lady immediately started shouting at me, "You need to let us in or I am calling the police." Wow. At this point I'm getting pretty annoyed. I tried to explain the situation to her again, but only got so far as "I can't let you in," before she cut me off. Let us in or give us our money back. Now, in her increasing anger, coherent sentences started to break down, which in hindsight was pretty funny to watch. It became a series of "you told us 10:00 a.m., give me back my money," and more threats to call the police who would apparently get them a refund. I've never seen someone get so belligerently mad in such a short amount of time. At this stage, I'm done with being polite. Lady, I am not your Airbnb host. You, gesturing to the man, climbed over the fence into my backyard, which is why I'm out here speaking to you. You both need to leave and contact your host. I know that their check-in isn't until 3 p.m. Being forceful at least interrupted her tirade, but she was still mad. As I watched her, I could see her slowly starting to process the situation. Despite this, she wouldn't apologize or admit she was wrong. Instead, what she blurted out next was, "Can we at least store our luggage with you then?" What? She repeats herself, this time much louder, apparently still under the delusion that yelling is the way to get what she wants. Nope. You're not leaving anything with me. After a further brief exchange they left, and I immediately let my neighbors know what happened. Now, here's the justice boner to the story. My neighbors were annoyed. Really annoyed. They tried to contact their guests, but they wouldn't answer their phone. Eventually they let Airbnb know what happened. Airbnb tried to reach out to them, too. Again, the guests were uncontactable. During our exchange, the man let me know his name. Let's call him Bob the Twat. As it turns out, the booking was made under a completely different name. Both my neighbors and Airbnb tried to verify who was staying, but Bob wasn't responding to their calls or messages. Eventually, Airbnb decided to cancel Bob's booking. I wrote a note letting Bob know he needed to check his Airbnb messages and that his booking had been canceled due to the situation this morning. At 3 p.m., the car returned, this time filled with 4 more people. Apparently, Bob the Twat was trying to sneak in a few extra unpaid guests. I watched the quiet resignation on their faces as they read the note. It felt good. As an aside, my neighbor managed to rebook the dates with a lovely Chilean couple, and Airbnb honored the payout for the insane couple's canceled booking. My neighbors insisted on giving me a portion of the payout for my trouble, but honestly knowing that these horrible people were inconvenienced was enough. The next story is titled I Was Finally Freed Today. Just a quick encounter I had with a crazy lady today. My kids have the day off from school, so I took the day off from work and we had a daddy/daughter's day. I took them out to breakfast, and then a trip to the mall. We started off in one of the department stores, and my daughters decided to start looking there for new outfits. Now I love my daughters, but shopping is absolutely not my thing. So while they're looking for clothes, I'm standing over by one of the counters waiting and reading on my phone. I hear someone make a noise behind me, so I look up and there's a lady standing there with a huge armful of clothes. I figured she was heading to checkout, so I moved over to the side of the counter. She says excuse me, and I figured she's talking to one of the employees. A few seconds later she yells excuse me. And I look up to see what's going on. That's when I realized she was talking to me. By this time, people are staring at us, including my daughters. This is the rest of the encounter, me equals me. CL equals crazy lady. Me, yeah? CL, don't yeah me. Take these, I don't want any of them. She sticks the clothes out towards me. Me, yeah, I don't work here. CL, I don't care what department you work in, take the damn clothes. Now on any other day, I would have simply told her to piss off and go find someone who works there. But since I was out with my daughters, I decided to handle it a little differently. Me, excuse me? CL, she's getting really pissed at this point, and she yells again, take the goddamn clothes. And this time she shoves the clothes into my chest. Me, I look down at the clothes for a second, and then look at her with a huge smile on my face. Master has presented Dobby with clothes. Dobby is free. And I threw the entire pile of clothes back in her face. She was standing there stunned/shocked. People in the store were cracking up laughing. My oldest daughter was trying to hide because she was so embarrassed, which is nothing new. I walked over to my girls and asked if they found anything they liked. They hadn't, so we left. As we were walking out, I could see CL yelling at a couple of actual employees who looked like they were doing their best not to laugh also. The next story is titled Karen Tries to Get Me Fired, then says she married my gay cousin. For a little backstory, I'm in my junior year, grade 11, and I'm taking an education course, which basically teaches you how to be a teacher. We have to have field experience or practical work. We basically get sent to a school and put into a classroom to help the teacher. It's a great way to see if teaching is right for you. Well, the classroom I'm currently stationed is a pretty good one. I know the teacher pretty well because she was my teacher and my brother's teacher when we were younger. This means she trusts me to do a lot more than other teachers probably would. Her class was having a back-to-school party and the teacher asked if I would mind getting some sodas the night before and she would pay me back for them. The reason she asked is because she forgot them. She's old, it happens. Of course, I agree. I go to our local store and grab 3 12-packs of sodas. There are only 24 students in the class, but I wasn't sure what they liked. Plus the teachers could just have what was left over. I decided to also get a few small gifts like candy or small toys as they were cheap. By the time I finished, my cart was pretty full, but I was obviously shopping and not working. As I'm walking to the till, I decide to go ahead and grab some cheap things for me to have for dinner the night as well. I stop my cart and start reaching up on the shelf to grab things. While I'm turned around, a woman starts digging around in my cart. I quickly stop her and ask, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, aren't you stocking shelves?" "I'm just taking some of the candy." Now, to be fair, I was still wearing my school uniform, which is pretty similar to the store's. Both are khaki pants and blue polos, but the store shirts have the store name on the back. I decide to give her the benefit of the doubt and just say, "No, I'm shopping. I need this candy for school, please put it back." She starts getting huffy and says, "You're wearing the uniform. Stop lying or I'll have you fired. My husband is the manager." Now, I know she's lying. I know, because my cousin is the manager. My cousin is married, but definitely not to her. He's gay. I say I know that isn't true, just give me my candy. I take it back from her and head to the till. As I'm checking out, I see her complaining to none other than my cousin. I pay and decide to let her know that I knew she was full of crap. I go and give my cousin a hug and ask him how his husband was doing. Her face went red and she hurried off. The next story is titled "Lady Smashes Glass Door Because I Won't Let Her Inside Business I Don't Work At." My best friend and roommate works for a small independent print shop as a graphic designer. We live in the burbs and the shop is located downtown about half an hour from our house. Oftentimes I will be downtown for an appointment of some kind, and will ride home with her rather than take the train. Usually by 4 p.m. the only people left in the shop are her and a specific coworker, so I will just hang out in the front area of the shop with my laptop. At 5 p.m. they lock the door, and then both of them gather their things up over the next 15 to 20 minutes before actually leaving. They are often out of sight, packing up in the back. Last Friday was one such day. At around 5:10 a lady came up to the door of the shop, a glass door. She saw me sitting there and started tapping on the door. I looked up and mouthed, "The shop is closed." She yelled back, "I have a question." I pointed at my wrist and said loudly, "I'm sorry, the shop closes at 5 and I don't work here." She grabbed the handle on the door and started shaking it as if she could magically make the door open, and then started pounding on the door again. So I set down my laptop and walked over to the door. She screamed, "I only have one question. Can you let me in so I can talk to you?" At this point screaming was really not necessary as we were only separated by a glass door. I said, "Ma'am, I don't work here, and the door is locked from the inside by a key I don't have. I can't let you in." She screamed, "Why are you being such an a-hole? I know you're closed, but it's one question." Then, to emphasize her point, she slammed her open palm on the glass door, which absolutely shattered. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. It's not like it cracked and spiderwebbed out, it just went to shards and fell to the ground. Fortunately, I had stepped back. The lady blinked in shock and then started to speed walk away. Fortunately, we are in a massive metropolitan city, and I was able to follow her only half a block before I saw a police officer standing on the street. The officer walked us both back to the shop with the woman ranting about how it wasn't her fault and if I had just let her in, blah blah blah. She called for backup and 2 more officers arrived, and by this time my friend and her coworker had come up front. They took another officer back to look at the security footage which is digitally captured, and that was pretty much that. Lady got arrested on the spot and I had to give a statement, and I'm told I'll probably have to testify in court on behalf of the shop owner to get a civil penalty added onto criminal charges and help them avoid small claims, which I'll gladly do. The next story is titled "I Got Reported to Management for a Company I Don't Work For." Happened a few years ago. Friend and I decided to hit up GameStop to see if there was anything worth buying. I just happened to be wearing a polo shirt and had a lanyard/it around my neck because I had just left the office. This kid comes up to me in the Xbox section and asks me if a certain game is available for PS3. He must have been about 12. Knowing a fair bit about video games, I happen to know that yes, this title was available on multiple consoles. I went ahead and answered him in the affirmative. Yes, this title was available for PS3. He simply says, "Get it for me." I pause and look down at this kid. "Excuse me? Get it for me, I want to buy it." I tell him, "How about, you go get it for yourself, the shelf is right there." And point off into the distance. I start to turn away and he forcefully demands again that I get him this damn game. I went ahead and kneeled so that I was eye level with him and told him, "If you want that game so bad, walk your little ass over there and pick it up, I'm not your idiot." Kid runs off and gets his mom. My buddy and I are having a good chuckle at this. We get our games and head off to stand in line. While we are making our way through the line, here comes the kid again with his mom in tow. This GameStop is attached to a bookstore, so I guess mom decided to let GameStop babysit her little hellspawn while she sneaked off to look at 50 Shades of Lame. 1. Mom is throwing a crap fit at the front, saying that some employee told her child to walk his fat idiot ass over to a shelf and get a game himself, and she demands that said employee is fired. Right about now, my buddy and I are stepping up to the register to pay for our games while mom and her kid are looking for said employee. The kid looks up at me and goes, "That's him." Mom just explodes on me with a ton of vitriol. She's going to have me fired and blah blah blah. Meanwhile, my buddy and I are cracking the duck up, has telling me crap like, "Oh no, you're going to get fired, dude," or asking the person ringing us up if we can have my employee discount before I'm terminated. This circus is only causing me to laugh harder, which in turn is making her even more angry. In the midst of me on the verge of tears from laughing, this lady losing her crap, my buddy goading this woman on further and screwing with the GameStop employees asking for my employee discount. The manager comes up front and asks what's going on. Lady explains how I was rude to her son and refused to do my job, how I used foul language at her child and I was very unprofessional, she wanted me gone, etc., etc. Manager looks at me, looks back at this lady, at me, back at lady, and tells her, "Ma'am, he doesn't work for GameStop." Dead. Silence. My buddy then speaks up, so I take it that's a no on his employee discount. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.